Always, always, always. Hello, and welcome back to yet another Drive Home review. And once again, I am thrilled as always to welcome my favorite co-host and continuing our tradition of the beginning of the school year and the end of the school year. But we got to get you on some of these during the school year. You know, like that's easy.
Yeah, we have so much time.
I know, right? We're teachers. What are we doing with all that free time? All right. So, Dora and the Lost City of Gold. Where do you start with this?
Okay, I want to start with what I told you. I listened to the NPR, not review, but NPR commentary on it. It wasn't about the movie, but just about the fact that Dora, the original character, was the first Latinx kid character in a TV show, and how just important that is. So, period, almost no matter what I think of the movie as a movie, right? I think having her as a character on the big screen and having all the other people of color on the screen was so important. And just important, period. Like, it's a not a lot of white people in the movie, you know what I mean? Like, that's important to have strong Latino characters in driving a movie.
And driving a mainstream,
movie. Yes.
Hollywood movie, kind of in that same way Black Panther.
Yes.
Last year was, I think it's good that we're starting to get these, I saw a movie a couple years ago. It was one of my top 10 that year called Everybody Loves Somebody, which was a Mexican movie with it was a bilingual film. And I was thinking, this is awesome. We need to get more of these out there.
Yes.
Because,
period.
Getting up on the soapbox for just a minute, we try not to do too many soapboxes here on Drive Home Reviews. She does. But with the shit that we go through in this world, I think the problem is we're not exposed to other cultures. We're not exposed to other things. And
representation matters.
Yeah, and when you get it and you finally are exposed to it, you see, it's not that scary. It's not something to be afraid of. It's, Dora and these people, Dora is anybody can relate to her. We saw we saw Hispanic kids in the theater. There were African American kids in the theater. There were white kids in the theater.
And adults.
We
weren't the only adults.
Yeah, I was worried about that.
So without kids, adults.
Yeah.
We weren't the only without kids.
So just saying that out front, I think is a good thing. That this is a positive step and a good thing. The thing I was worried about going in is like, okay, if we get that, we'll have that. But what if it's a shit movie?
Right.
Because then you feel bad because you're like, this is a good thing, but it's not a good movie.
Right.
But I think honestly, it was really fun. It was a pretty good movie.
There was a couple moments.
The gripes I have with it are like minimal.
Just a couple bad jokes, but
there is minimal and in some ways personal.
Okay.
But we'll get to that in a second. But I want to praise the movie first because I think it really was a fun. It reminded me, even though it's a Nickelodeon film, reminded me very much of kind of like the old school Disney adventure, kid adventure films.
Escape to Witch Mountain.
Yeah,
or
like that. In Search of the Castaways or something like that. It had, it had. If I had seen this as a kid, I would have ate it up.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it knew its audience, and it knew its identity as well, and it took the piss of itself real quick early on, and it was like, we know. The movie knew exactly what it was. Yeah. And it was like, we know this is ridiculous. We know this is crazy.
Well, not even that we know it's ridiculous. We know it's based off. We know we are really going against what the original was, but we're gonna punch that right in the face, right off the bat.
Right.
And go to it. I think very well cast.
Yeah, really well cast.
I don't know most of these people's names, except
the characters or the actors.
Some of the actors' names, especially the younger actors.
Yeah, I don't know who they are.
The young lady playing Dora did an excellent job. She was, and to have to carry a movie being that young. To carry it, and what I'm sure Nickelodeon and them are hoping will be a franchise because everybody wants to be a franchise. Right. To kind of have that put on your back and said you're going to be the poster child for this franchise. That's not easy.
No, she was really good.
Yeah.
Perfect casting. Sammy, I also really like Sammy.
The other girl
character. I liked her a lot. Diego and the other boy didn't do much. The other boy did the one thing. So there was a white kid and then Diego, her cousin, and the white, I can't even remember the white.
I don't remember. They
Randy?
said it
Randy?
once or twice, but I think it might have been Randy, but I'm not sure.
He actually did something.
Yeah.
But he was, I'm just a goofball nerd.
He was the goofball nerd. He was the, yeah.
But he did do something. He actually did have a pivotal problem-solving moment. But Diego really didn't do anything.
No. Well,
Diego didn't do anything.
Diego was more emotional support for Dora.
Right.
He was more. Even then, he didn't do much. Yeah.
I thought Diego didn't need to exist in that movie. To be perfectly honest, other than to look at, he was nice. But he didn't.
Okay, Mrs. Robinson, calm down there.
But he really didn't need to. That character didn't need to be there.
No, I agree. I didn't think of it until you said it, but yeah, he really
didn't serve a purpose.
Not really.
Other than she needed someone to go to the city for.
Or that,
LA.
Or that, people know Diego. Yeah, I know. Wouldn't it be nice if in one of these fucking movies, when somebody's going to the city, they went somewhere other than New York or LA?
Well, no, I think LA is strategic because it is such a Hispanic city.
That is fair. That's a fair point.
They needed to go somewhere where there was a Hispanic and a thriving Hispanic population to make that make sense.
That's a fair point. But I always just hate it in movies when it's those two cities and the rest of the country doesn't exist.
But what I did think was interesting, Dora, the original cartoon really does talk a lot about, or they stressed really hard when they were creating the cartoon to not make it from a specific place, but in the movie she was definitely coming from Brazil.
She was living in Brazil.
Yeah.
They never said that she was Brazilian.
But they didn't have accents, and the Tio and Tia were from LA. So, and Eva Longoria, the parents, Eva Longoria and Michael Peña, they didn't have accents either. Yeah. So they were all, I'm assuming, from LA.
Yeah. So they were. But yeah.
But they lived. But the point was that she wasn't supposed to be in this. She's supposed to be Pan-American.
Yeah. The only thing I have a problem with, it's not with the actor, it's with the writing of the character of Dora, is that she was too fucking much.
But I think that's the point, though, right? To me, that felt like the point.
There's a line for me between a fish out of water and someone who is so far out in left field being that way. I think you could have told the exact same story and toned her down just a little bit. She was just... I felt like a lot of the movie had balance issues. You either needed to go one way or the other.
And it could decide.
Yeah, and for instance, so you're looking at it at first and it looks like it's going to be not hyper realistic, but a fairly realistic world. Her backpack doesn't talk. She doesn't have, the magical talking map. And then suddenly they have Swiper, an actual talking fox.
Yeah, see, to me, Boots made sense until he talked. And then you're like, wait a minute, what the fuck? But they had Swiper,
walking and talking with the voice of...
But Boots, they didn't do that. For really almost 99% of the movie, he was just this animated monkey that she was friends with, which you could accept.
Yes, I could.
But then Swiper was unacceptable.
Yeah, but
unacceptable.
But it's not even so much unacceptable. What was unacceptable to me is okay, if that's the rules of your film, that's fine.
But it was the only one that broke the rules.
Yeah, and they didn't acknowledge it. Sammy was more concerned with the fact that he was wearing a mask
than he was
talking.
Live.
And then when Dora either hallucinates or whatever, Boots talking with the voice of Danny Trejo, which is awesome.
But also...
they're all like, what? Oh my god, Dora's going crazy. That fucking fox is talking. I mean, you accept that.
Right, so why not...
So yeah, I think that's the major problem I had with the film is just... You need to pick a road and stay.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. But it really was, for me, only Swiper that bothered me with that. That was the only one that bothered me.
Like I say, little tonal things. Like I say, Dora being so Brady Bunch. I mean, because that's what you reminded me of. I don't know if you remember the Brady Bunch movies that were out in the early 90s.
Oh god, I saw one of them, and then I thought it was awful.
Where the whole joke was that they're behaving like the
50s.
uber happy kids from the 60s in the 90s. And they were just also over the top, and that's what she was.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, reel her in just a little, because she's just too much. And this is not a criticism. Damn, that child had some huge eyes.
Well, but so did Dora.
I know, but this is not a criticism, because they're very big, beautiful eyes. But I noticed that just a couple times she opened them, I'm like, damn, girl.
No, she was very good casting.
I liked her.
With you. I thought she played great.
I think she was played great.
Have that cartoon essence still, the cartoon character essence.
Yeah.
Still. So I thought it worked fine. I thought that worked good.
Then
I love too, so being Mexican American, having someone, and this is something that I heard with Diego Luna from Rogue One. Mm-hmm. How he was like the first mainstream character to have his Mexican accent, and how people going to see that, like older Hispanic people or just Hispanic people in general. The story I'm remembering is that this guy took his dad to the movie, and he was like, my dad was like weeping afterwards, hearing someone who sounded like him on the big screen in this big action,
And you're hearing that a lot.
It's the same thing with like Dora, and having, Alejandro was a bad guy, but having someone that sounds like, has that accent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's and like it goes back to the representation, but it's so important, and I'm just glad that there's more movies with that.
Yeah.
And I think the movie also did a really good job being a teenager movie. It had teenager humor. It had it had silliness for teenagers.
Yeah.
That I thought was super appropriate, because there's a lot of times right now, at least for me, the movies I see, it's like adult films and kid films, and there's not a lot in the middle.
And the teenager films tend to talk down to the teenager.
Yeah.
Or I don't think I've seen very few movies.
Or to talk about like you're growing up, like you're falling in love with the first time. Like it's a heavy teenager thing.
The teenager films are coming of age stories, which are usually sex based in some way.
And this was just fun and silly.
I must say I didn't think I'd see a joke about scorpions mating on top of someone's head in a Dora film, but it was there.
There you go.
And when that was happening, it was like, are we doing this? Are we seriously doing this? All right, okay, I gotta talk about the one thing I hated, though.
Okay,
one thing I hated, and this is not a reflection on the film in a way it is, but it's a reflection on all films.
Okay.
If I gotta see one more damn movie where I get to see people go to the bathroom, I swear to God, I'm gonna kill something. And I thought in a movie like this, okay, we'd probably get a fart joke or something. No, we get a whole bit about the girl needing to take a shit in the middle of and digging a poop hole. And I'm like, years ago, for decades, centuries, we've been okay with having doors on our bathrooms so people didn't have to see us doing these things. Now, every fucking movie I go to, I get to watch somebody pissing or watch somebody sitting on the pot.
You're obviously not a parent.
I hate this.
Because I haven't shit or peed in private in 6 years.
Yes, but this is because you have small children. I do not wish to
I'm just not as sensitive to that.
I am, because I am so sick of seeing, I don't want to see this in movie. It used to be people throwing up in the movie. That used to be it. Now it's every damn movie I go to, someone is pissing or taking a shit.
Wait, what was the last movie where someone was shitting or taking a piss? Because I can't think of one.
There was a film last year I went and saw with Ben Kingsley where he was a Nazi who had escaped persecution in these
Nazis
and the secret police from Israel went to get his ass based on a true story. And there's this whole scene with Ben Kingsley sitting on the pot taking a shit. And I'm just like, thank you for undercutting your tense drama with Ben Kingsley sitting on the pot.
Honestly, the funniest thing right now is you yelling really aggressively pot.
For some reason, it's a children's movie, so I feel bad about swearing, in this review. Usually that's not a problem for me, but for some reason, this film, I'm like, I don't want to say taking a shit. What if the kids are watching? Because, my YouTube channel is big amongst the
16-year-olds.
I know, they love it. They can't wait. There's drive home review conventions that they go to and dresses me.
I thought the movie was really fun. fun.
I thought it was fun too. Seriously, the only thing I will say is I felt like it dragged a bit
Yeah, it
in
was
the middle.
long.
Like it
was pretty long. It's like 6:40 when we got out.
Yeah, so it's
pushing 2 hours.
Yeah, so that's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But what I did like, and I think they could have tightened it up a little bit, but what I did like is it wasn't just set piece, action set piece. It actually showed them figuring out the puzzles and, and fairly complex and interesting puzzles. So it was
like teenage Indiana Jones. It was fun.
Yeah, super
fun.
Yeah, I mean, all the way down to like making the choice.
Yes, I was
with the thing.
Temple of the Doom.
Actually, Last Crusade is what they were.
Last Crusade. It was Last Crusade.
I was waiting for that old knight. Yeah. I was waiting for that old knight to come out. He chose poorly.
And then he melts away.
But so it could have used a little tightening up, but all in all,
or Sean Connery too.
Yeah, everything.
Sean Connery in it.
Everything can benefit from little Sean Connery. But all in all, I mean,
it was fun.
For all the bitching I heard people do about the trailer and everything, I thought it was a fun movie. I thought like I say, the little girl sitting right down from us was
loved it,
digging everything about it. She was dancing, like at the end with the music video they had, and like we're leaving the theater, and she's still out there just shimmying away.
And that's the point.
Yeah, and that's the stuff you want to see. Yes. And that's the thing you're like, all right, then it's hitting its audience.
This is not a movie for us.
No.
We did buy tickets.
But it's a good sign that we can enjoy it, because that means that parents can go take their kids and not feel like they want to shoot themselves in the head.
Right.
I still feel immense amounts of guilt for dragging my parents to the Care Bear movies when I was a kid. They loved it. They really did not.
No, they loved taking you to do something you wanted to do. They loved supporting you.
Okay. All right. So, before we hit final grades, we're not debuting the segment, but we are debuting the actual physical feminist rageometer. Prototype. It's still some work needs to be done on the feminist rageometer.
This is going to be whited out and covered up. I'm going to label it, right? It's going to be feminist rageometer here, but I am going to keep it to 11 because...
Yeah, Spinal Tap. Yeah.
So, rageometer, 11 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. I'm giving it a 1.
Giving it a 1?
She was a Latinx woman taking charge, kicking ass, having fun, being true to herself.
And what I liked about it on that front, if you allow the white, straight male to comment on feminist reasons, she was all those things, but it was never up on a soapbox. She just was.
Yeah.
The movie didn't feel the need to grind to a halt.
Right.
To go, strong, independent woman. She just fucking was.
She just was, and it was acceptable.
Yeah, and people just kind of went, okay.
For it.
Yeah. No, and nobody was really telling her, no, don't be smart, Dora. Don't be this, Dora. It was just, hey, don't.
But they did do that to Sammy, and then Sammy called it out the minute Diego said something like, okay, bossy. And she said, oh, bossy, what am I next? Shrill, this, that. I was like, yes, they called it out right away, and then they called out, because that is a thing.
Yeah.
They called it out, they acknowledged it, and then Diego learned his lesson. Which is exactly the way to handle it.
So I like that she was all those wonderful things, but it wasn't like they didn't make a big deal out of it. It was, this is who she is,
and accepted.
People are good. So, interesting that the feminist radiometer makes its debut on a low setting. We doubt it'll stay there because
I'm ready.
Because movies. Because movies. I mean, all right. So now that we have the official first outing of the feminist radiometer, final grade. So final grade for Dora and the Lost City of Gold.
Okay, so I'm thinking family kid movie. In the family kid movie age, I'm thinking, B.
B?
Yeah.
I
think it's a B.
Okay.
You're going to go C.
No, I'm not actually. Mm-hmm. I'm actually thinking about giving it a little higher, but I'm weighing. I actually am going to go an A-.
All right.
For this one, and under those guys of like a family friendly action film, I think it checked all the boxes and made some new ones.
Yeah.
And I think if they're lucky enough to get a sequel, because you never know.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll be able to tighten it up a little bit and, not make some of the things that annoyed me so much about this one. But on the whole, I can't find, like I say, the things I'm bitching about are tiny little things coming from.
No, Swiper though. They need to fix that. They need to make the choice or not make the choice.
Yeah,
that's the major one. But that's it.
Yeah.
Like, that's the major,
You know?
like, you gotta fix.
Well, pacing. They need to fix the pacing a little
Yeah.
bit. But other than that, anything else was just kind of I just don't want to see any more people shitting. That's just, this is just a thing for me. I'm sorry. But you know.
But it got an A-. Despite shitting.
It did, despite shitting. Despite shitting. That should be one of those taglines for they do.
Despite shitting.
Despite shitting, got an A-. You know, Brandon Laura.
Please grade a paper
And
put that.
Despite shitting, this is. I don't need
That
my.
would be so.
It would, but
good.
I don't need my job.
That's right.
I'll just do this for a living. The 6 people that watch it will support me, right, guys?
That's right.
Right? All right. All right. But this was a fun little film. I was a little worried about seeing this one. I was like, oh, this is gonna be so stupid. I like being proven wrong. This is why I do these, because every now and then something proves you wrong.
That's right.
So once again, I give huge thanks to, how do you say friend in Spanish?
Amigo.
My amigo. I don't know.
Well, amiga. I'm a girl.
Amiga. Why the fuck did I not know that? I watched Sesame Street.
Because you're on the spot.
You know, my amiga, my very dear amiga, Lindley, for once again joining me and just making drive home reviews more beautiful and wonderful and everything just by her presence. And we're going to try to get her out during the year, but if not, you'll definitely see her at the end of the year because we got to keep the book ending.
Yes.
Traditions are important. That's what Fiddler on the Roof teaches us.
Oh, I love Fiddler.
Exactly.
So much.
All right. So until next time, drive safe, and I'll see you at the movies.